Hey class, today I'm going to be talking about the famous Revolutionary War heroine Molly Pitcher in context of Leah Milio's article that we read for our class. And as far as some questions on that article on Betsy Ross that were raised that I think are pertinent to Molly Pitcher's case involved, does the actual person historical legend is based on play a part in how we receive and understand that legend? And does critical scholarship, the modern day, challenge the legend's validity? Um, and so to address those points, I'm going to give some backstory on Molly Pitcher. Um, so Molly Pitcher wasn't her actual name. David Wade in the Military History Journal talks about this. Molly was just what you call any woman who was a camp follower of a traveling army in the 18th century. And these camp followers did a lot of tasks. They would cook and clean for soldiers. They had men clothes for them. They'd make cartridges. They'd clean guns. They'd forage for food. And then they'd serve soldiers water and medical aid on the front lines during battle as well. So they did a lot of important things in Molly, the legend, and so Molly Pitcher would that we know from legend would have been one of these women. Um, Marilyn Scott from the Christian Science Monitor talks about how a lot of these women had no choice but to be there. Their homes had been destroyed from the war, so they had nowhere to go. So, especially if a father, a cousin, or brother's in the military, they would just, a lot of times, their whole family just follow the army and try to care for them as best as they could. Um, and the basic story of Molly Pitcher, Carol Claver in the Journal Minerva kind of gives the most basic bare bones example of what we know. She was serving soldiers pitchers of water on the field. It was very hot that day, about 100 degrees in the shade at the Battle of Monmouth, New Jersey in 1778. And her husband, who was operating an artillery piece, collapsed or died. And when he was carried off the field, I think modern scholars know that he now collapsed from heat exhaustion, but he was carried off the field and she took his place and kept firing the cannon. Um, so, with that being said, addressing the questions about from earlier, does the actual person that the legend is based on play a part? Well, let's see. So, the actual person, scholars used to think it was a Mary Ludwig Hayes, or sorry, Mary Ludwig, a German immigrant, German Lutheran immigrant, I believe, in from Pennsylvania, who had married a William Hayes, who was who served in the Continental Army. And modern scholars now say that no, it was a Mary, same name, also married to a William Hayes, but this William Hayes was confirmed to be an artilleryman, and the other was found out to not be. So now we think that it was Mary who was more than likely, based on contemporary eyewitnesses, a Scots-Irish Presbyterian who came in the large wave from Ulster, Northern Ireland in the mid 18th century. So you know, is it Mary Ludwig? Is it this Northern Irish Presbyterian Mary? Does that really make a difference in how we receive or interpret religion? I'd say no. I think it's more of an interesting historical correction example. Something that's interesting for historians to talk about, but it doesn't really change how we perceive what she did or what it means to Americans. Since the time of the Revolutionary War. And as far as modern critical scholarship challenge a legend's validity, modern scholarship can really only tell us how likely it would have been that this legend occurred. And as far as we know, modern scholarship has corroborated, has confirmed the writings, the writings of the 18th century that talked about the large amounts of camp followers that would serve even in the soldiers even battle, so much so that the British military in the 18th century had made quite a list of regulations on how many women could attend traveling armies, what they could do and when. Um, and these women would have intimately seen the workings of things like artillery pieces. So the idea that one of these camp followers would have jumped in and known how to operate a gun is pretty reasonable. And modern scholarship can't tell us about all the little stories and legends attached to the broader legend, such as having her petticoat shot out from underneath her and making some type of raunchy or sarcastic comment. Um, these sort of things, and modern scholarship can't really say for sure. That could have been just a continental soldier with too much to drink trying to get a laugh from his buddies, in a pub somewhere in Philadelphia 5 years after the war. We don't know. But, so again, who the actual person the legend is based off was, does that really change our interpretation, understanding legend? Not really, except for really, really uh, except for scholars who just kind of really delight in understanding the minutia of things. Other than that, to the general populace, it's not going to make a difference. And again, modern scholarship really can't do much other than tell us that the general facts of actual legends are pretty reasonable, looking at the historical record. So yeah, that's kind of just all I had to say about Molly Pitcher, and I hope y'all enjoyed it.